When someone is trapped in misery by feeling isolated from the world and cut off and trapped in a picture of the world that puts them at a disadvantage because they are not as great as the world and they cannot manage it, and the world comes at them in the form of time and they grow old and die. It comes at them in the form of germs and they get sick. It comes at them in the form of unpleasant people and they get oppressed. It goes away from them in the form of pleasant people and they feel bereft. And when you perceive that and you want them to begin to realize that they're actually all right wherever and whatever happens, the first way they have to do it is to imagine it. So your first job, Buddha's first job, is an artist. You're a Buddha. Your real being as a Buddha is this infinite body called the body of reality, body of Dharma, Dharmakaya it's called. And that is you and all other beings as one body. Like Shakyamuni Buddha feels, he is each of us now, thousands of years later, every atom and molecule about us as a being, and also every one that we have been in many different lives between then and now, and in the future. And that's what happened to him when he became a Buddha. Poor guy. Luckily, he's always jolly about it, whatever. But that's a really complicated awareness, this infinite awareness that is not an infinite awareness as we imagine mystics, or like the Vedantic idea of God, where actually nothing exists, everything is an illusion. No, it's an infinite thing where every detailed, individuated thing is all encompassed. I mean, this is by definition, of course. It's inconceivable. I can't really conceive of it. I can't imagine it. In a way, finally, to imagine that, you have to be a Buddha. To be it. Right? But I can imagine it in a sense. And we can do step-by-step imagination. For example, I hope some of you, all of you, have been deeply in love at some time. Really head over heels, as they say. And therefore have had an experience where you completely identified with the beloved. In the sense that you felt you were him or her, at least some moment, some period of time. Perhaps the most even easier when they're absent. You know, Romeo in the street when she's being locked up by the other Capulets or whoever they were, Montagues and Capulets. You know, the sort of troubadour's dream or something, you know. But I hope you've all had that feeling. At the time, remember, you suddenly were another person at the same time as yourself. Your identity expanded. Certainly a mother with the babe, before she's had the 18 different problems, well, they had to start from the beginning, but in the brief moments between the 18 different miseries, the mother with the babe is the babe. Father, too, can be. And then people even have mundane thing like a team, you know, or buddies in a war. There the solvent is hatred of the enemy and like bonding with the ally and so forth. It's like where you'll give your, like I love the Japanese one. And some cultures make it easier than cultures where Buddhism has been present. I don't say Japanese is a Buddhist culture. I certainly wouldn't say that, but it isn't. It's half. It's been partly infiltrated by Buddhism, but it never yet was a Buddhist culture, completely. But still infiltrated. Therefore, I always remember the story about the Japanese had to be, when they eventually were disqualified from doing crew racing. I don't know if you know that story. You know that story? You know, where you have an 8-man skull and they're racing and also they almost beat the English team and the other teams, you know. And when they crossed the finish line in that great race from which, after which their own government and the international whatever crew racing league like banned them or asked them to not participate, 2 out of the 8 Japanese guys died at the finish line. Their hearts burst. So they realized they were just a little too gung-ho in that they would get into the group and they would give themselves to the effort beyond the capacity of their physical body. So therefore, the cultural ability to do that, you know, to join a kind of group mind, made them unsafe or unkind, you know, to join such an activity. It's kind of amazing, actually. Well, Japanese are really amazing people, wonderful in their way. But the point is, so the Buddha's your task, when you are everyone, blissfully so. Eternally and complete, immortally so. And you're everyone in every period of time. For the specific ones that you manifest toward, what do? You tame. Who used that term tame? I don't know that. In English, without having read Buddhist. You want to tame, that's the word Buddhists use, is to tame. You know, an enlightened being help us to tame our wild mind. The egotistical mind is wild, it's like untamed. Not in a nice way, you know? Wants to devour something, like a wild lion. It wants to, you know, it's like frightened of things. It's a wild, it's a tame is a good, pleasant gentleness. So how do you do it? You must be an artist. And even the Buddhist conception is so amazing and so sci-fi. Well, I love Matrix and sci-fi and all that. Personally, I like it because it enables us to begin to imagine different realities. Is that even the body of a Buddha is a work of art. Now, because now think about it. You are everything. What does that mean? That means you are the quantum soup. You're also each formulation and each embodiment incarnation of the quantum soup. Each being that thinks it's a separate entity, and somehow the quantum soup didn't creep on it. Sort of like Brian Greene can make his little show about the quantum cafe, but I'm watching it safely in my room on the TV, you know, and I've got my boundary, my skin, and there's nothing creeping on it, you know. But when you're a Buddha, you are the quantum soup. And you're consciously the quantum soup. And you're the energy of the quantum soup. You're the non-local energy of the quantum soup, the energy that's everywhere. And which they describe as the energy of love and compassion. But it's the energy that connects everything, actually. And you are that, and so you can shape anything out of anything. As an artist. Your matière, therefore, your palette, is not some paint that you then put on a canvas. It is energy itself. The energy matrix of the universe, which you can shape into life, which you can shape into embodiment, into anything. So that's why the Bodhisattva, based on that imagination, in Shantideva's poem, for example, the Bodhisattva says, I want to be a Buddha. That means I want to be a planet if living beings need a planet. I want to be a continent if they need a continent. I want to be ground, earth, if they need earth. I want to be air if they need air. I want to be medicine if they need medicine. I want to be a table if they need a table. I want to be a bed if they have to lie down. I want to be anything. A bridge, what they call the Nirmanakaya, the body of emanation, is not only human beings, humanoid type of beings, but it's every kind of possible being. In other words, you become, in the prayer to the Avalokiteshvara, the 1,000 arms symbolizes Gangla Gangdu de la Detamba, they say in the prayer. Gangla Gangdu de la Detamba. He who manifests whatever is required to tame whomsoever. Now that's the supreme artist, actually. Sort of theoretically, I mean, it may just be fantasy of some like weird Indians. India is the culture that has the most amazing imagination in its literature, etc. Any culture. There's no competition. I mean, not that individual wonderful artists and creative writers and things and religious visionaries were not everywhere, but there's so many in India, and it's so incredibly extravagant, the visionary thing. And this imagination you can see. And there are two layers of that manifestation body of yourself that you will have when when your body is everything. You know, like right now, like my body, I mean, I'm a little hurt, you know, but anyway, and it's on a chair, you know, and it's clothes that are not my body, but I feel them on my skin, and there's the chair, and then there's all of you there, and then there's like everybody in New York, and everybody everywhere, and in the Middle East, and all over the place, China and Tibet, and there's a bunch of yaks, all kind of things, all over. And suddenly, but I sort of, you know, my body is like responds to my impulses at the moment, because I'm not ill. And that ill, and that way. And, you know, it's like I'm connected to my body. That's what body is, right? But imagine you connected to all reality. Like that. Everyone else, you feel their body is your body. And of course, but you also feel their feeling is your feeling. And for example, therefore, as a Buddha, you wouldn't want to, like, start body snatching. Like, and you wouldn't start, like, sending nerve impulses, things, make other people move around. Because they'd feel invaded and freaked out. It wouldn't help them at all. It would harm them. The Buddha is restrained from doing that.